Okay, boys, we're going to look ahead to the end of the season now. And it's a pretty simple question. Who misses out on finals? And just quickly, for those of you that maybe have forgotten how finals work or you're new to the NBL has a play-in system. So it is teams 6, 7 and 8, 6 and 7.
5 and 6.
I was looking at it here. I had it up on my screen, but now I've closed it, so I don't know where it went. 1 and 2 go through. Then it's 3 and 4, 5 and 6 playoff. Yeah. Okay. There we go.
Perfect.
Glad we saw that.
There we go.
Fucking on the ball as usual.
Top 6 teams in the league have a chance to, and that's what we're going to count on here. I take it, boys. 1 to 6.
Yep.
So if you look at last season, Illawarra, Melbourne, Perth, Southeast Melbourne, Sydney, and Adelaide all made the top 6. The teams that missed out were Tasmania, Brisbane, New Zealand, and Cairns. So that's the structure. We've got 6 teams in, 4 teams out. There's been some massive off-season movement in pretty much all the teams. And Josh, you up first, mate.
Yeah, well, this is the $1 million question. And the reason we have brought this question to the forefront is, let's just I'm going to give you 8 teams right now. I don't think I can rule these other 2 teams out. The other 2 teams are the Breakers and Southeast Melbourne Phoenix. I don't think you can rule them out right now. I still think they're going to be quite solid. But you've got Adelaide, Cairns, Perth, Brisbane, Sydney, Illawarra, and Melbourne United. So, and even Tassie, I think you can throw in the mix there with their 3 sort of import combination is looking quite strong. Bryce Hamilton just came out and absolutely dominated in preseason. David Johnson looks really, really good. I know Will Magnay is probably the main concern there for Tassie, but they've got a really solid team there as well. So there's 8 teams I've just rattled off, plus the 2 that I think maybe could be around the mix. There's going to be 4 high-quality teams who miss out this year. And we have to make that way too early prediction of which one is going to miss out. And I'm going to go with the Sydney Kings. I know I was speaking earlier about Kendric Davis, and I love what he's going to bring. But what is modern basketball, boys? Modern basketball is 3-point shooting. Now, I look at this team and I'm a little bit concerned. Last year, they went way too far into the 3-point shooting. I believe they averaged the most 3-point attempts by a handful last season compared to every other team in the NBL. Now, I wonder if the moves they've done this season has offsetted that enough to be able to bring them back into sort of that league average and be a decent team. But when I look at this team, you've got Xavier Cooks inside. You've got Tim Suarez inside. Jalen Galloway has still got a lot to prove to be known as a consistent 3-point shooter. So at the moment, he's a slashing 3-man at the moment. You got Bull Qual, who couldn't shoot a shot last season to save his life. Kelly Lepepe, who is more of an inside player than an outside player. You got Matthew Dellavedova running the point guard, who is more of a facilitator, mid-range scorer, or attacker than he is a 3-point shooter. And Kendric Davis is probably your number 1 scorer from the 3-point line. So when I look at this team, I'm seeing quite a strong post team with a lot of pick and roll threats and a lot of pick and pop threats as well from the mid-range sort of time. But I'm not really seeing that dominant 3-point shooting team, which you do need to survive in the NBL, because we know what Melbourne are going to provide with Milton Doyle and obviously Chris Goulding as well, who can turn on in a second. You know what we're going to see from Cairns this season with 3-point shooting. A lot of teams in the NBL have got that 1 or 2 really, really proven players in the NBL to sort of knock a few big shots down to get your team in front or get your team back into a game. So for me, I know this is probably going to be considered as hate, but again, I need to be shown from Brian Goorjian that he can actually lead a team. He had the best team in the competition last year by far. We were calling it the greatest team in NBL history, and I think they finished, 5th or 6th, but when it actually ends, they lost the play-in game. So technically they finished 6th last season. So I'm going to go one better and think they're going to finish 7th. They'll just miss out on finals. But for me, that is my way too early big club that misses out on finals.
Wow. I mean, there's going to be one of these clubs that should be there, and they're just going to capitulate. And there's also going to be that team that maybe gets injuries that they miss out, like Tassie were last year. Jez, do you see Sydney failing in in kind of getting their team together. That was a little bit like what last year they had the roster, they had the cattle, they just couldn't get across the line. Do you think they've made enough changes to address that, or do you think it's their, like it's kind of Josh said, it's they're going to struggle in multiple areas?
Nah, Josh is off his tits. He's absolutely nuts. Like, I don't know. I'm waiting for one of the next predictions, the next question, and I'll dissect all of this. But Josh, you're nuts. There's not a chance that they miss the finals this year. There's not a chance. You are, I don't know. You've lost the plot, mate. I'll tell you who's gonna miss the finals. It's your beloved Perth Wildcats, because they're one of the teams that, I don't know, you're still waiting for something to happen. They lose the MVP of the league, the best player in NBL history, still in his prime, winning an MVP last year, and they haven't replaced him. Like, I don't know what's happened with the build of their team. I think really, really important, obviously, that they locked up Kristian Doolittle. I think that's huge. But like, I'm really worried about where they stand, and that's what, I don't know. Like, if we have to pick a team, like you said, like the whole league has been completely turned on its head, and like, it's really sort of a lucky dip. But I'm just trying to find my notes here because we're out of sync. But it's like, what have Perth done to lose all of those points? Bryce Cotton scores 40 points a game, I guess like his average was around 30 or somewhere in that
28.
ballpark. And you're like they're really, really relying now on the youth of Pepper and Henschel to be able, like, at the moment, there's obviously an import spot that they still haven't filled, but it's getting to those scary times where you're getting desperate and there's a month out and you've got to just pick someone without actually maybe wanting them as your first priority. But if the team is the way it is now, obviously Pepper has a lot of talent. We love Pepper at the Basketball Fix. But is he ready to step up? Not quite sure yet. If you look at what his performances from last year, obviously in the NBL 1, absolutely went off the chain, be the MVP over there. Like, he was phenomenal, but you put it up onto the NBL stage and it's a completely different story. We saw some really, really great moments from Pepper, clutch moments sometimes, and some really, really great performances, but the consistency wasn't there. And I think it's the same with Ben Henschel as well. Some really, really great moments. Obviously, he was pushing to get sort of a two-way deal in the NBA. So he's obviously has the potential to be there, but you just haven't seen it yet. And obviously the front court's really good. You've got Doolittle and you've got Jo Lual-Acuil, who is a proven performer. So they're pretty safe there. But I'm really, really just worried about that backcourt and what they can do. And until it's proven, that's why I've got to say that they're the team for me that's going to miss out.
Yeah, I think I'm not disopposed to this one because Jo Lual-Acuil, you should there. But he's going to be. Cool. There's one for the reels at the end of the season. Sorry,
perfect.
To digress there, but he's going to be. He's the interesting one for me, and I like what you said there, and I think that's going to be his nickname all season long here at the Basketball Fix. Ben Potential Henschel. And I think he's got all the potential in the world to be playing in the NBA. He's got the attitude, the self-belief, and the play style as well. And, I know there's a lot of concerns about the Perth Wildcats now with who this last import player is going to be. And it's going to be a point guard. It's as simple as that. But they've missed out on a couple of guys. And they'll tell you straight away, we'll never speak into this person, or we'll never speak into that person, or whatever the case is. We all know they have been. And that's a simple fact. But at the end of the day, they're most likely going to go out there and sign a relatively good player. They're not going to sign a Bryce Cotton player, not even a Kendric Davis level player. I don't even reckon they're going to sign a top 10 point guard when it's all said and done. I think it's going to be a relatively somewhat decent point guard, but they haven't got a lot of cash left when you're talking about Jo Lual-Acuil being on the better part of $1 million. So, it's going to be a solid player, but nothing standoutish. But where I think this team is going to improve is the defensive end, which is where it was quite poor last season. Kristian Doolittle now running the charge. Obviously, Jo Lual-Acuil inside. If he rocks up with that defensive composure, they're going to be really, really strong inside there. Dylan Windler, if his health permits, will be probably a All-NBL second-team chance as well. And then you got Sunday Dech, arguably the guy who's been named the Bryce Cotton stopper for a number of seasons. It would have been fun to see those two guys in the same team together as that point guard, shooting guard combination. But again, you've got a guy who can lock down Kendric Davis, Bryce Cotton, Bryce Hamilton, the top guards in the NBL as well. So they've got a solid team. But I'm on the same board with you here, Jez. I think this is a club that has had a bit of an identity crisis this offseason, and you probably could say that's happened with a brand new logo, brand new jersey, brand new sort of Wild Nation hashtag they've been going with as well. So they're in a bit of an identity crisis. But yeah, as of right now, I'm not set on them being a finals team as well. I'd have Brisbane and Cairns over them right now, to be fair. And, I think that's sort of where we sit right now.
Because we like talking about this now. Obviously, they're starting five, but it then moves into their depth, because we're worried about their starting five being good enough to compete. And then you go, okay, well, what was sort of some of the toughest moments for them even last year was when, they started to get some injuries, or their second unit was on and wasn't performing. Like, I think that creates a big problem where you've got to score enough points or be able to defend for the whole game. And that's something that they might struggle with when you go second unit versus second unit. They're going to be a little bit underdone, and then they're going to rely on that first unit to score points, and they don't have Bryce Cotton anymore. So
they got Jaron Riley, though. They got Jaron Riley, John's son.
Perfect.
I think there's more opportunity that this team actually plays like a team. We spoke about it last season, that the reliance on Bryce Cotton to bail him out of situations. There was a period in the kind of second third of the season, or the start of that second third, where you saw the reliance on Bryce was minimal. But then as the season wore on and the stakes got higher and injuries started affecting, then it reverted back to that reliance on Bryce, and okay, you need to get 36 or 42 or 50 for us to win. So now I think this team could play more like a team, and it could give them another dimension of play. But look, boys, you talk, you think you know basketball. I'm going to tell you now the four teams that will miss finals: Perth Wildcats, Southeast Melbourne, Tasmania, and Brisbane.
Oh, I knew you were going to say Brisbane. Oh, no. I think Brisbane is my biggest lock this season.
So you heard it here, right here, from the bloke in the middle. They're the four teams that are done. But
I got a question quickly, though.
One reservation. If any of those, if Sydney Kings, if Adelaide, if Illawarra get any serious injuries, then they're going to fall quite dramatically, and it's probably going to be Brisbane that'll jump up there.
Definitely. I got a quick one for you boys. Just a quick yes or no before we move on to the next segment. Is John really the most under-pressured coach coming into NBL26?
No. Goorjian.
No. Ooh,
no, they won't. Yep. I don't think they don't. If you're talking about who's got their job, I don't think they fire Goorjian. That's a massive call. But I think really was under the pump even a little bit last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's good. I think really definitely.
Yeah.
Does anyone know the contract situation of Goorjian? 3-year deal signed.
I think he's got one more year to run. Yeah, I think you got one more year to run on it. So 2024, 2025, I think this is the last year. Yeah.
Also could be interesting if Adelaide don't perform with all of these superstars, and you got Mike Wells maybe on the chopping block as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Or does Stu Lash? They've got the team now for Brisbane. Stu Lash, is he the guy who comes in with no coaching experience, and all of a sudden they're sat there going, why the bloody hell did we do this? But yeah, there's so much to play out. I just thought it's a good question.
He could be the guy that goes, but I don't think he's the guy under most pressure. I think the pressure is like, he's a first-year coach with no experience. People aren't going to be on his back. If Sydney underperform with that roster, I don't think the expectation's there for Perth either, to be honest. Like, look at the team.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but they're in a like Josh said, they've got a whole new identity coming, and maybe the last piece of that new identity is to have a new coach.
I can agree with that, but I don't think it's a pressure of like, oh, the team's playing shit. It's the coach's fault. The team's playing shit
yeah.
because they got no players.
Mm.
Anyway.
It's going to be interesting.
The next prediction we have for NBL 26, boys, is grand final.